Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, you're still not making progress on those goals that you've set out to make? Or maybe you've been told to fix your weaknesses, and despite all your best effort, things just don't seem like I'm Zach Imboden, certified start thriving in your strengths. And so let's dive in. The first is a problem with a weakness-focused mindset. We've been taught to fix our weaknesses since we've been kids. I mean, think back to school. If you got almost all A's in most of your subjects, but you struggled in math, where did you, your parents, and probably your teacher put the most energy? Probably on the problem area instead of actually developing what you're naturally good at. I mean, this mindset follows us around into adulthood. We assume that in order to grow, we need to fix what we are bad at. But research says otherwise. Research says people who focus on their strengths are 6 times more likely to be engaged in their work. That they are experiencing higher levels of confidence and energy, that they have overall a greater well-being and life satisfaction. The reality is this: your weaknesses will never become your greatest strengths. But when you fully develop your strengths, they can lead to exponential growth. I mean, just think about it. An Olympic sprinter, if you were an Olympic sprinter's coach, and you said you need to spend half your time improving your swim time because that's an area of weakness for you, of course you wouldn't. You would say, how can we make you even faster? And the same applies for you and me. Happens when we maximize what we're already naturally great at. And so what is a strengths-based approach? What does it look like? So instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Or how do I fix those weaknesses for me? A strengths-based approach asks this question: what am I naturally great at? And how can I do more of it? And this is where I love the CliftonStrengths assessment. It comes in because it actually identifies your top 5 strengths, the unique ways you think and feel and act. And when you focus on developing those talents into strengths, you unlock your potential. I'd love just to share a few stories with you of people who have helped coach unlock their potential. And here's what it looks like in real life. I think of a leader who really struggled delegating. They were a manager who felt overwhelmed, believing they had to control every detail. And through our strengths coaching, they realized their strengths of arranger and maximizer made them excellent at organizing and improving processes. But once he leaned into those strengths and he built a system that actually helped him empower his team, it freed him up to focus on the bigger problems and the bigger picture he needed to deal with. I think of an introvert who became a confident communicator. A client of mine, they had the strengths of intellection and input as their top strengths, and believing that they weren't a natural leader because they weren't outspoken. But once they embraced their strengths, They were able to think, and they were able to realize they could think deeply and ask good questions. And that made them an insightful leader to really help build and develop their team. I think of an employee who felt just unfulfilled in his job. A client had the strengths of futuristic and activator and struggled in a slow-moving corporate job. And through coaching, they realized that they really would thrive in a fast-paced environment where they could dream big and take immediate action. They shifted their careers and found themselves energized and thriving in a role that made more sense for them. I think of a parent who really transformed their family dynamics by leaning into their strengths. They had the strength of harmony and empathy as their top strengths, but they felt frustrated because they felt like being a good parent meant they had to be constantly enforcing rules and structures, even when it didn't come natural to them. And through our coaching, they realized that their true gift, what they did well in their family, was to bring peace and to understand and peace and understanding into their home. So instead of trying to be this strict disciplinary parent, they learned that their natural ability was to listen, to diffuse tension, and create meaningful conversations with their kids. The result that their kids became more open and connected with them, and their family conflicts actually decreased, and their confidence level as a parent significantly increased, not because they did something different, but because they embraced who they already were. These stories of transformation didn't happen because people fixed their weaknesses. They happened because they leaned into their strengths. So how can you apply this to your own life? How do you shift to a strengths-based mindset? Here are 3 practical steps that might help you. And first, discover your strengths. Taking the Clifton Strengths Assessment might be a really helpful way to identify your top strengths. If you haven't taken the assessment, just start paying attention to what energizes you and maybe what drains you. Are you aware of the things that actually bring you energy or the things that just exhaust you? And then develop your strengths. You want to discover your strengths, and then you want to develop them. And you want to find ways to use more of them in your life. How can you use them more? This might mean reshaping the role at work, adjusting how you approach relationships, or making small changes in your routine will help you develop your strengths. And that's what we do in our strengths coaching, is we really do help you develop your strengths. And last, you want to deploy. You want to deploy your strengths. You want to use your strengths intentionally to solve problems, lead other people, and make an impact in other people's lives. When you deploy your strengths, that's when you will feel most alive. So ask yourself this question: where can I apply my strengths more intentionally in my life this week? What would it look like to lean into that? Because remember, personal growth isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about embracing and fully stepping into who you already are. And when you stop focusing on your weaknesses and start maximizing your strengths, growth becomes natural, fulfilling, and sustainable. Man, I would love to hear from you. What are your top strengths? How are you going to lean in to them this week? Here are 3 ways you could take action today. Man, share this episode with a friend who might need this. Man, because we all grow better together. Second, you can subscribe to this podcast so you never miss any of our episodes. Or 3, visit thefulllifeforyou.com to explore coaching, spiritual direction, or other resources dedicated to help you thrive. Thank you for joining me. And today, remember, you weren't meant just to survive. You were made to experience full life. So keep leaning into your strengths, and I will see you next time.